Great, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Robbie. We're 2 speakers away from a Q&A session, so teachers, leaders, pupils, have a think about questions that have been brought up about today and where you're thinking of going and what you can ask the panel that's going to arrive back in 2 speakers' time. A couple of questions before we move on. Who in here enjoys having money? Hands up. Yeah, it's a shocker. Okay, so unashamedly so far, we've talked about business because that's what we are. We are here to employ people. The only way I can employ you and increase your salary and reward you is actually have a commercially viable business. So we're looking for people who can help us grow our business and add value, not just at the coding level, but all the way through to the sales and marketing, to the development, making the product attractive, making that red dot stand out in a busy and getting busier marketplace, regardless of what we're doing. We're in a global economy. So there's nothing wrong with making money. How much money you want to make is really up to you. Is very much up to you where you want to pitch it. So unashamedly as a business, that's what we talk about. The next part with Sally from Edinburgh City Council is talking about, well, hands up everybody who lives somewhere. I know it's an obvious question, but put your hands up. Come on, thanks. So that's the next part, yeah, the business part of what we do and how we do it, but also where you live and the environment and the society you live in. The local authorities and government and public sector have a big part in using digital technology to make your lives better, to keep you in the cities that we want to keep you in the countries that we want to keep you in, because you're all bright, smart people. We want to keep as many of you bright, smart people as we can here for as long as we can, and creating a more vibrant and engaged public sector. And if you look at the engagement that's happened over the last 8 weeks, and the digital engagement that's happened over the last 8 weeks, it is pretty full on. So let's keep that momentum up. Sally Kerr is going to talk a little bit about what's happening here in Edinburgh and wider afield in the public sector and app development. Please welcome Sally Kerr.
Okay, everybody else has been giving you their life histories about jobs. I don't see why I should be any different. Basically, I didn't start out to do what I'm doing now. I don't think anybody does, actually. I was going to be a musician, so yes, I can read music, and that's what I was going to do. I'm still doing it a bit, but that wasn't what I ended up doing. Then I was going to work in art galleries. That didn't work out either. Then I went to work in retail. Didn't really like that very much, although, funnily enough, I use quite a lot of retail techniques in my work now. And then I became a librarian, so I'm the senior library officer, hands up. So you're going to see more about what I do now, and it is about the council and what we're doing for the City of Edinburgh, but I hope you'll see that it has applications right across Scotland, and also for yourselves going into the future, into your careers, but what you might do. So this is something we made earlier. This is one of our products. If you do have a smartphone handy, if you want to have a look, we might just ask you about it later. It'd be great to get your feedback about it. 15 years ago, nobody thought smartphones were going to be the most used devices. Nobody thought they were going to be important. Nobody realised how sophisticated they were going to become. Now they're the common device everybody uses for business, fun, research, shopping. And for my council, mobile phone use is absolutely key to how we deliver our current digital services and about how we plan for the future. But it's not the only thing we're thinking about. Some aside at the end that you were being shown there. Wearables, we're thinking a lot about those as well, because we can see that's exactly where people are going to go. And we have to think about, well, how we deliver our services on wearables. So I am based in ICT Solutions in Edinburgh Council. ICT has a very wide remit. I'm just going to run through that very quickly for you. Here's job opportunities, if you like. System architecture, that's managing our systems and the whole architecture of how they work together and their integration. And development and change. Commercial, who manage and negotiate all our contracts. Service, which is core services for all our staff in the council, and also with a wide range of suppliers. And strategy and development. Our ICT and digital strategy, which was launched last year, is making a massive change to the council and to the city. We have a transformation plan. We're delivering online transactions, and more about that in a minute. We're putting in place or refreshing core systems, and we're delivering a huge range of projects. The difference, perhaps most noticeably, is that we're working at pace. We're using agile methodologies and we're trying to work quickly to make change happen. In a local government scenario, that's actually quite difficult to do. And what we have done is really quite interesting, and we're getting quite a lot of interest from other authorities in Scotland because of it. Now, the current slide that you're looking at here is trying to illustrate the extent of my role in digital services. So I have a very large and expanding remit, which includes all of these areas. Digital services covers websites, social media, app development, open data and digital development. It's a very exciting time to be working in this area, with constant change and opportunities to work with local companies, developers, designers, students at school and universities and other organisations. It also means I'm really, really busy. So this is our website. This is the main council website, which I have as a major area of responsibility. I work with digital lead officers in every department in the council and also around 200 publishers. This is for one website. We're the digital front counter for the council, so it's key that all of our content and transactions provide the best customer experience possible. So we are constantly changing and iterating and carrying out customer testing. Now, we may not be a commercial company, but we are selling products. We're selling our services. So we have to do exactly the same thing that a commercial company would do. And the extensive research pays off all the time in just little tweaks and changes that we make. We have all the major areas of customer activity optimised on the website, and that's things like payments, reporting issues and making requests. And it carries information about all of our services. Now, on a real-time sort of stats basis, on a typical morning, we have about 150 people on the site at any particular time. That doesn't sound a lot. It can peak a lot if we have something very important going on, like elections. 1 in 3 of those people are using mobile. This is quite a new site. We launched it in April. When we had the old site, we had maybe about 20%, bit under, mobile use. Now it's up to 50% at the weekends. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. So we really hope that the site will continue to attract the mobile use. Now, we regularly have maybe about 3 million users in a year. We've so far this year served up about 1.6 million web pages, which is the equivalent of more than 3 pages per person in Scotland. And we're not finished with the year yet. So it's a busy site. But this site is only the tip of the council's digital and customer-facing iceberg. Council has nearly 200 websites. It has 180 social media accounts. Council's main Twitter account has over 30,000 followers, but we have other accounts based in libraries or for Edinburgh Travel, which are up at around 20,000. Part of my job is to have an overview of all of this digital estate and to put in place policies and strategies that support their development and their management. Websites are managed all over the council, but they have to follow a number of core standards, such as providing content that's current, consistent and of good quality, ensuring adequate support is there and that they're managing the risk on their sites. So trying to keep the website and the technology up to date for all these sites is a big challenge. And my central digital team are asked for advice and support all the time about this. And we're also providing a strategic approach on digital in the council. Now, we are actually currently reviewing our social media. 180 accounts probably doesn't sound that much for a council our size, but we want to make sure that we're actually targeting the right people through all these different channels. And crucially, we actually want to find out whether we're using the right channels. Now, an earlier speaker asked you how many of you were on Facebook. How many of you use Snapchat? Yep, quite a lot of you. So we are beginning to wonder whether actually we should be trying to do something with Snapchat. We haven't kind of worked out what that is, but we know that our audience is out there, and that's you. Even though maybe you're not paying council tax yet or anything like that, you are in touch with the council in different ways, and we're trying to think what's the best way to reach out to you. So the site I suggested that you have a look at earlier, or you can look at it later, it's entirely up to you. We developed this fairly recently. Now, it's a website, but it's also got an Android and an Apple app. And I wanted to pick up a point from the previous speaker about the number of people involved in this build. It took 6 months. All the people working on it were not working on it full time. We had a project team of 5 to 6. We had 3 developers. That was for the website, and he did the Android app. We had an Apple app, and we had web design. And we had a graphic designer as well as staff in libraries, parks and communications and a customer experience officer. we also had around 150 people testing and inputting to it. So that's a lot of people being involved in just building this. And for the council, doing it in 6 months was pretty surprising. To the developer, he thought we were taking an age. But from the council's point of view, that was fast. That was really fast. So it was a real catalyst for the council, this one project, because we actually reused content from our website using our API for the very first time. And that sort of broke the mold. And it made the council start to think, well, what else could we do with our data? And so it's actually led indirectly to the creation of an open data strategy in the council, which I'm currently leading. And that is something that's informing everything that we build that's digital now, that we're thinking about how do we use our data, how do we use our data assets, how do we build apps that use our data, how do we offer our data so that other people, that's people like you out there, could build apps for us or for you. Now, I'm going to come on in just a minute to talk about Edinburgh Apps, which was mentioned earlier. I just want to touch slightly on, oh, sorry, that's the app interfaces. SmartDITA Hack, this is Edinburgh University. Now, they run this each year. They have an innovative learning week when they stop all the normal classes and students can pick courses that they'll go to. And they run this SmartDITA Hack as part of a week of learning, which is really about coding and about how to learn to build apps. And we offered data for this. We also did a bit of judging on it. And it was really interesting to see how students used our data, which, to be honest, was fairly basic data sets, but also what they built and the ideas that they had around it. And from our point of view, this was really exciting and new to do it. So in the first year, we were learning a lot. We were very interested to see what came out of it. Now this year, we've got something here called Spot the Bin, which actually won for using our data. Now this is actually, some of you might remember the motorcycle race in Tron, some of you. And basically it's based on that. So we had all these different data sets which are about facilities in the city. People can pick what they want to visit, but they don't know where they're going because they're all jumbled up. They get a time limit to do it in, and they only know where they're going next when they get to the first place. I really like this idea, and we're thinking about whether we might develop it in the council for tourism purposes, maybe aimed at cyclists. This is the one we built after the first year that we were in the data hack. This one took a bit longer. We've actually just had the 3 students who are involved in it in for the summer on a summer placement for 2 months, building this and finishing it off. Now, you can't unfortunately see it in action. It's actually a rotating cube, so it allows you to choose the activity you want to do in sport, the day, the cost, and then a map unrolls that actually shows you where you can do that in the city. Now, this was our first attempt at development working with full-time students, and we did a lot of learning in that. They learned a lot as well, which is why we ended up getting them in a summer placement this year, so they had enough time to actually finish it, or in this case, not quite finish it, because it should have really been live by now. And that's because they've gone into 3rd year, and they have a heavier workload, so they're trying to balance what they're doing for us, as well as getting on with their proper work, if you like. So we are hoping to offer a placement at next year's Smart Hack as the prize for the winner. So that's a really exciting idea. This is something that I started last year called Edinburgh Apps. Now, it's actually a civic challenge competition. So, as you'll know, your council will have the same problems as our council that they have to deal with, how to deliver services in the city, things to make people use the services, or to just make it easier for them to live in the city, or to work, or to study. What I decided would be interesting would be to run a competition, invite developers, designers, small businesses along, and ask them if they could create a solution to particular problems. It's running just now for the 2nd year. It's running until the end of October, and we've got 5 challenges out on it just now. Now, this is all about actually trying to build a relationship with the community of developers in our city and to actually work with them. Now, we're not doing it for free. We're very happy to pay people for the development, but what we are interested in is how innovative and creative their ideas will be. That's something that you won't get so much of in the council because we are kind of conditioned to think in a particular way. What we want is new thinking. We want new ideas coming into the council. This is quite a big annual event, even in its 2nd year, and we're very excited to see what will come out of it. But I've also started running other events to support it. So we ran a road safety hackathon in June, where we invited, again, developers and designers to find a solution to the challenge of road accidents in the city. Now, the hackathon was very specific. It was to find a solution to the problem of 11 to 14-year-olds because they are the highest risk group for road accidents. Speakers outlined the challenge, and then the hackathon ran over the Saturday and Sunday, and the event had students, had full-time developers, but it also had some young people who were attending Edinburgh University's coding club. And one of those, a 16-year-old girl, actually made a winning app for the competition. She came up with an app which used accident data to help people choose a better place to cross the road. So it sort of flashes red if you're picking somewhere that's an accident black spot. The other winners, one is a game. It gives you points for crossing a pedestrian crossing, especially when it's green. And the other one's a design idea, which is really interesting, which is about defining the environment. So instead of just having a boring old pedestrian crossing, it will actually change the pedestrian crossing and make it more attractive to people to come along. So interestingly, this is a crossover. It's not just about IT. This is about a designer who's a student at university coming up with an environmental idea which will involve a whole lot of other people to make it happen. So just to finish off, a couple more slides. This is a recycling app that came out of Edinburgh Apps competition. Now, when it was put into the competition and it won, it was actually kind of fun because it had different colours. It was black and green, and it also had gamification in it. So it basically awarded points for the number of times you recycle bottles or paper or whatever you were doing. However, when we went out and did customer testing, it became clear people didn't really want that. They just wanted to know where the nearest recycling bin was. So we've sadly had to take off the gamifying element from it, although personally I'd like it back on. And this is going to be launched fairly shortly, and it's already helped me. I moved house a few months ago. I had no idea where to go to recycle, so it was great for me for doing that. And this is Endre Stories. Now, we're actually doing this with a charity called Nesta, who are running a programme called Open Data Scotland. Now, we've got a developer working for us on this, and he's also going to do a few other products for us. So he's working on a dashboard, a city dashboard for us, and he's also going to do a kind of tourist app, which is reusing an app that was built in Amsterdam, and it's called Take a Hike. So we're actually getting quite a lot of bang for our buck out of our developer that's working for us, but he's getting a lot of learning and skills from working with us on this. This project is actually to encourage people to add their images, audio and video, create their own scrapbooks, but also share them openly so that we build up a kind of, if you like, future memory collection about the heritage of Edinburgh. This has been done with libraries, and we'll actually put it on their heritage image platform as well. But the point is, when you take a picture just now, you don't think about it as history, you're just taking it, and you're quite possibly putting it on Facebook or wherever you put it, Flickr or whatever. Now, the libraries, they want your images because they want to keep them and make history with them, and we're really hoping that this tool is going to help make that happen. On a more serious note though, we're actually hoping it will be used for reminiscence therapy as well for carers or families of people who have dementia. Memories are very, very important to all of us, but they're even more important when you have this disease. So this kind of tool will help people to remember and give more quality connection, if you like, with their families. So it's going to be a multi-purpose tool. So finally, I haven't got time really to ask you about this just now, but if we've got time in the Q&A, I would really like to hear what you think about this, because it was our first product. It's not as exciting as some of the games that you're probably using all the time, but it's a really useful tool which tells you how to find our parks and green spaces in the city, and also some really interesting stuff about them. So I hope we have time for that. I know we're running a bit late, so thank you very much.